Imagine living in a world where Earth is believed to be the center of everything. The heavens revolve around us because that is simply how they are meant to be. Objects fall not because of laws, but because they wish to return home. And asking why is considered insolence. In this world, explanations are not sought. They are accepted. Now imagine one person standing in the middle of that certainty and saying softly, almost dangerously, what if nature does not obey belief, but rules? Before science, the world was not empty. It was full of meaning, but meaning that could not be touched. Thunder was a message. Disease was punishment. Stars were holes of light leading to the divine realm. Everything had a story, but almost nothing had a reason. Philosophy at the time was not a tool to dismantle reality, but an art of arranging it so it sounded beautiful and convincing. The more poetic it was, the truer it seemed. The older the story, the more sacred it became. Humans did not live in ignorance. They lived in false certainty. And false certainty is far more dangerous than ignorance. The problem was simple, yet lethal. Stories can never be tested. And what cannot be tested can never be disproven. That is why the world appeared stable. Not because it was true, but because no one dared to shake it. Questions were threats. Doubt was sin. And logic was a weapon not yet invented. The world seemed calm. In reality, it had simply never been touched. What would change everything was not war, not technology, not even discovery. It was a single quiet act of courage, treating nature as if it could be wrong and allowing it to prove itself. And in a world built on myth, that courage sounded like an insult. Aristotle was not a rebel. He was not an outsider who came to destroy Greek philosophy. He was Plato's finest student, raised at the very center of the most prestigious intellectual tradition of his time, trained to believe that ultimate truth did not exist in the physical world, but in a perfect realm of ideas, and it was precisely in that sacred place that doubt began to grow. Plato taught that the reality we see is only a shadow. Tables, trees, human bodies, crude imitations of eternal, unchanging forms. What is real cannot be touched. What can be touched cannot be trusted. Aristotle studied this seriously. He did not mock his teacher. He memorized it, understood it, defended it. But the longer he thought, the more one question disturbed him. Not loudly, but with a crushing silence. If this world is only a shadow, why is it so consistent? Why do seeds always grow in the same sequence? Why are animals born with predictable structures? Why does the sky move with order, not with the chaos of a dream? Shadows should be fragile, yet nature is solid. The question sounded harmless, but it was deadly. Because if reality is stable enough to be studied, then it is important enough to matter. And if it matters, the world of ideas no longer holds an exclusive throne. Aristotle began to feel that philosophy had drifted too far from the world, too busy worshiping perfection, forgetting to look at what actually stood before it. And this was the quietest betrayal of all, questioning the foundation without announcing it. Aristotle did not doubt Plato because Plato was foolish. He doubted him because Plato was too logical. Beauty of ideas was not enough. Truth had to function in the real world. And here, history bent, not because a student rebelled against his teacher, but because he dared to ask, what if reality matters more than perfection? Shadows should be fragile, yet the world felt hard, consistent, indifferent to human opinion. That is where Aristotle grew suspicious. If the physical world were merely a shadow, as Plato taught, it should not be reliable. Shadows change with the light. Shadows cannot be predicted, but nature did the opposite. Seasons arrived without asking. Seeds grew in the same order. Animals were born with nearly identical structures, generation after generation. The heavens moved in patterns that never failed. To Aristotle, this was not beauty. It was a clue. Something consistent obeys rules, and something that obeys rules can be studied. He began to see reality not as an imitation, but as the primary source of knowledge. Ideas were no longer above the world. They might arise from observing it. This was not a mere disagreement. It was a shift in direction. If truth lived in the physical world, then philosophy had to descend from the sky and dirty its hands. And that was an insult to old philosophy. Without realizing it, Aristotle had opened the door to science, making reality more important than perfection. Truth does not live in debate halls. Aristotle did something considered disgraceful. He left discussion rooms and entered the real world. Fields, fish markets, bronze workshops, human bodies. He observed what could be touched, not what could be imagined. He spoke with fishermen, craftsmen, physicians, people who knew nothing of philosophy, yet understood how the world worked. To pure philosophers, this was betrayal. Truth was supposed to be born from thought, not mud. Yet in that mud, Nature finally spoke without metaphor. For the first time, nature was not worshipped. Aristotle dissected animals, observed organs, recorded functions. He classified living beings, searching for similarities and differences. Nature ceased to be sacred mystery. It became an object of study. To observe was to humiliate myth, and myth always retaliates. Yet from this disrespect, knowledge began to grow. Stories can be believed. Logic can be tested. Aristotle created tools for thinking, formal logic, so the human mind could not deceive itself. He designed reasoning that could be examined, refuted, corrected. With logic, truth was no longer untouchable, and the old world began to crack from within. If nature could be explained, who was still needed? Priests lost mystery. Rulers lost cosmic legitimacy. Knowledge became a threat. Aristotle did not shout, but his method was loud, and the world began to resist him. History is always ironic. Aristotle's writings were sanctified, his method frozen. He was turned into absolute authority by the very world he once destabilized. Questions were forbidden again. The path opener became a shackle. Many of Aristotle's theories were wrong. The heavens do not work as he thought. Motion does not behave as he imagined. If he was wrong, why does he matter? Because he taught how to prove things wrong. Science was not born from truth. It was born from the courage to test. Hospitals, laboratories, laws of nature all stand on a shift in how humans think, and that shift was dangerous. Aristotle surpassed his era, not because he was right, but because he gave the world permission to doubt and to prove for itself.